We had a gentleman come see us last week for a private lesson. And while we're getting everything set up, we always like to ask questions, right? We want to get the history of what the player's been working on. And he had one thing that he was coming in for, and it was he was seeing a drop in his distance. And the one thing he told us he had been working on was exactly the reason that he was losing distance. Once we fixed that, he was able to pick up 8 miles an hour of club head speed in just 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes of the lesson. Maybe you're losing distance as well. Ask the question down in the comments below. We'll be happy to answer them. And we'll make a video just for you if we don't already have one, or maybe we can make another one to explain something a little better. Let us know in the comments below. What was this player doing that was just robbing him of distance, literally?
Like Mike said, we ask a lot of questions for a reason during lessons. We want to get the background of what they've been working on. He said, well, the very last thing I've been working on, but I've been working on it a lot, was trying to pinch my elbows together throughout the whole backswing. So this idea that, you know, you have your elbows as kind of close together and you keep them that way all the way to the top of the swing. And that was his latest kind of practice and what he'd been working on.
Lost connection is what he said. And we didn't ask him what exactly that meant for him, but he said the fixed was too, and he would put broccoli rubber bands around his forearms.
Broccoli rubber bands.
Big, you ever never seen it? You don't eat broccoli, son? Those big broccoli rubber bands, right?
You now.
Around his forearms to keep everything tight. So probably tighter than what a ball would be. And he was trying to go up.
Like a straitjacket.
And keep connection, but it was robbing him of speed.
Yeah.
Now, there's a couple reasons for that. One, when you hold the arms in this position, it really protracts the shoulders forward. And we've done a video about this not too long ago where you just really get bound up and all you've got left to finish is arm bend. And it locks the shoulders up as well as the arms. That's a speed killer.
Yeah, it's one of those things we always say it looks good on paper. Like, oh yeah, just really keep your arms together and keep your arms on your body and no arm lift. All that stuff looks good on paper, but it goes out the window when you try to swing a golf club at a high speed.
Right, and his goal was, when he looked at video, his goal was to have that forearm vertical.
Yeah.
Right at the top of his swing. So we showed him a lot of professional gears data. And in gears, you can connect the two elbows and there's a distance between that at start. And when you get to the top, and the pros range from roughly 3.5 to some of them 6-7 degrees apart. Inches apart. So the elbows are always working apart in a full swing. Now, if you're just chipping the ball, they're not going to move much. But in a full swing, especially with driver, the elbows are always coming apart. They're not being held together. And to show him this, so this would be the first drill you want to do. To show him this, we just, you know, put him in posture, had him raise his arm right here, a little bit of abduction.
Yeah, away.
Abduction.
Yeah.
Okay, right there. And then I'll do this from down the line. Then we just had him turn. Now, without changing anything, that angle more matches my back line than it is vertical to the ground. That would be this. So no one that hits it long gets in this position. It's always here and then turn, which to the camera looks like that. Now, you've got players in the Hall of Fame that go a little more. You've got some that go a little less. But really, depending on your turn, you want to avoid trying to get it really pinched in. And he said he was having shoulder issues because of it.
And you see guys practicing with the ball between their arms, but depending on where you put the ball, you can still have some play there. I think the whole idea is not to feel like your arms are super tied together all the way up to the top.
Do that again. And we'll talk about what that does to the shoulder. So when you pinch the elbows together, this shoulder stays protracted forward when it should be working away from the hands.
Yeah.
Now to do that, the arms have got to separate.
Yeah, and I always show this in a lesson. This would be my shoulder rolled forward. I'm gonna need to pull that kind of back behind me and then let this elbow separate just a little bit to get the club propped up here where we like it, or where you're going to want it to be at the top of the swing before you change direction. Then it all goes back to the athleticism of the movement. If I'm going to throw a ball, you know, you would never try to keep your arm pinched in. Well, I'm really throwing this club around me, right? And if I want it to go fast, I'm going to let this elbow move in the way that we're showing you here so that I can sling this club as fast as I can.
So that was the first thing, was to break apart his concept of what he needed to do. Next was to show him a drill. We've got a couple of them, so he could actually do it in the motion of the swing. And I love how we've kind of adapted a famous drill of this and made it more realistic.
Yeah, we used to teach this drill where you take your lead hand and put it under your tricep area here, and we used to teach people to hook it with your extension of your lead wrist. The problem with that is you literally feel like you're in a straitjacket. And so we modified the drill. You know, we always try to get smarter as we do this.
Based on all the data.
Exactly. So what we came up with is keep your hand open like this and put it under there, and, you know, in a normal playable position. Put it kind of under where your glove strap would be. So you've got a little bit of play here as you go up to the top. So if you put it there and swing the club up, you could even go to the end of the fingers. So you've got some room to move. Right. You don't want to really go out beyond that, because that puts you in another whole area where you're going to have problems starting down, right? But it gives you that little bit of room to swing it without going too far. Then you just put your other arm on there to get you in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, so you want to use your offhand as kind of like a 90-degree brace here.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be doing this with it. So you keep that in the brace. If you put your arm kind of right where the glove logo or the top of the glove would be, you've got the right amount of separation there in the elbow as long as you stay in contact with the hand. And if you can do that with one hand, you'll be amazed at how much freer that feels if you've been the golfer that's been trying to keep them together. Some of you are trying to actually move it 100%. Across your watch, and we see that every week in lessons.
It's a death move. And when you do it as well, the more you pinch and you start to add rotation, it sends the hand path out. So that's why you see people that are trying to do that have these contorted positions.
Opens the face.
Coming down.
Makes you have to do other things.
That's
now.
right.
So it creates a nasty little cycle. Another one that we like, and you've seen us do it here on the channel a bunch, is to get in your setup posture.
Okay.
And you're just going to roll the club up touch the top of your shoulder, kind of between your shoulder tip and your ear. Yep.
Yeah, so you just get it up here a few inches away from where the end of the grip is.
Now, so already when Shaun does that, you're looking at it from down the line. I'll show you face on. The elbows don't stay together. So this is my address. My elbows have to naturally separate to get here. So it's kind of baking this in at the start, which again is breaking up the concept.
Yeah, so it's one full shoulder turn and letting your hips rotate so your back's to the target. And then you kind of just push up and away, kind of a 45. So up and away until your lead arm is pretty straight. And you have about a 90 here with your trail elbow, but keeping the same kind of attitude that your right arm was in when it was on your shoulder. Now you've got that club in a spot where it can reconnect, your right arm or your trail arm reconnect with the rib cage, the club will shallow, and you're on your way at that point.
And you said something very important, and about the only way to do this drill poorly is when you make a turn, a lot of you are going to go like this and push it almost down or level. And it's going to allow me to get my elbows together again. But if you push it up and away, you're going to have the proper separation and the proper depth and the proper width, which is what allowed him to increase that speed so quickly. Turning off a really damaging concept for speed for the sake of magic connection, whatever that means to whoever, for the alternative of having the elbows in the right spot, getting the hands deep enough and wide enough to allow him to apply the forces needed to improve the speed of the club.
Yeah, the concepts, the more we teach, the more we're in here really just changing concepts.
Right.
Obviously, we have drills that help people, but the more your brain can get wrapped around the right thing to do, the game gets a whole lot easier, to the point where I'm hitting the ball better than I have in my life, and you too, just because we have access to good information.
Right. Yeah, there's no magic in drills. There are drills that will hurt your swing. There are drills that can help your swing. Drills have to be based on sound concepts. If you have drills starting with the sound concept, now you've really got something to build a better swing.